Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at editing the zones individually of this drum part. Now, we saw in the last video that we can trigger the zones by clicking with the mouse, or with the MIDI keyboard, or by playing back the region, and they'll trigger it that way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this zone button over here, and this will give me access to the individual zones to edit them uniquely so I can have unique parameters for each. You'll see that some of them are shaded. When they're shaded with this light color, it means that there's a sound or sample loaded into that range or zone as it's mapped out on the keyboard like that. And the ones that are empty like this means there's no sounds or samples loaded in. So I'm going to click the kick drum now. So the parameters here are the ones that are specifically set for this zone. So I'm going to alter them now, and they're going to relate only to this zone. I want to alter the pitch of the kick. We have three pitch shifting modes here. We have resampling, which is the standard pitch shifting mode we're all used to. When you lower the pitch, the speed or tempo goes down, and when you raise it, the speed and tempo go up. They work together in unison. We have PSTS mode, which is pitch shift time stretch, which gives independent control over the pitch and the speed of the material being triggered. And then finally we have stretch, which is IK Multimedia's unique algorithm called SampleTank time resynthesis technology, which gives great control over controlling the pitch and the tempo or speed separately, but also the harmonic content or the formants. So you can really shape and color a sound uniquely. We're going to explore them all. Let's start by lowering the pitch of the kick drum. Here's the root pitch as it is now, and I'll lower it. And as you expect, it's getting kind of flappy sounding. That's because the length of the sample is being lengthened, and the artifacts are getting generated to lengthen the sound to fill it up. Now, if this were a loop that we were using, the whole speed of the loop would slow down. Because it's only an individual sample, it's lengthening the sample and lengthening the sustain or release part of the sound. Now I'm going to switch to the pitch shift time stretch mode, and you'll hear that it'll sound different right away. Now, why is that? Two reasons. One, because the pitch and the speed are being treated separately. So in this case, we're lowering the pitch, but not the speed or length of the sample. So there's no extra artifacts being generated. The release is staying consistent. But also because of this grain mode, which is another additional algorithm to shape the color of the sound. So you hear it really has a nice effect of how it colors the release of the sound. Higher values tighten it up. And now finally, let's try the stretch mode. There's two separate subsets here. There's note and phrase mode, depending on whether you're working with individual samples as we are now, or longer phrases or loops. But of course, it's always fun to experiment with both, independent of the program material, to see what kind of interesting effects can be generated. So here's the way it sounds like this. Now we have a lot of additional artifacts being generated, and that's because of these formant settings over here, harmonic presence and harmonics. I can color the sound and create some interesting effects. And of course I can slow the tempo down as well. Generating all kinds of unnatural metallic sounding like artifacts. And when I raise it up, what it does is it speeds up the sample and it truncates the end of the sound. We're only hearing the attack, and it's really clipped and attenuated too harshly, so you don't hear the full body of the sound. So it doesn't work well at all for this type of sound. Let's hear what this sounds like in phrase mode. Different quality right away. We're getting out there though. Let's go back to our defaults. I'm going to reset the tempo there and those to the default values. And I think for this kick, I'm going to use the pitch shift time stretch mode. So let's lower it, not quite as much, like that. And I'm going to adjust the grain parameter. I'll leave it like that. So now I'm going to hit the hi-hat note, which is the F sharp, and you're going to see the parameters jump to their default levels for that zone when it's triggered. So that's because they're displaying parameters uniquely for this F sharp note. So here's the kick with the parameters we set, and now F sharp for the hi-hat. So let's quickly adjust the sound there. I'll try some pitch shift time stretch values. Same thing, truncates the sample by cutting off the release part because it's been sped up, or lengthens it and generates unnatural metallic sounding artifacts. Let's try the stretch mode. We'll try the phrase mode. That's nice. Nice dark color. Let's go with that. So here we can see the kick settings and now the hi-hat settings. Let's hear what our loop sounds like. There's a nice sort of trashy quality to that closed hi-hat. I like it. So now I'm going to go out of zone mode and the parameters jump one more time. These are the default settings for the entire instrument, so I can treat those separately on top of what I've done for the unique zones. So you can really get great sound sculpting possibilities with all these parameters. So let's play that back quickly one last time. We'll see the notes jump here on the keyboard and we'll just make sure everything sounds good. And we're good to go. So that's it for this video. So just to summarize, we looked at selecting individual zones by means of going into the zone mode here. And then we selected the kick drum zone and went through the different resampling, pitch shift, time stretching, and stretch parameters to find an interesting color for the kick. And then we did it uniquely for the hi-hat sample so that it's treated separately from the kick. And then we put it all together and we have our drum groove. So that's it. Stay tuned. See you for more next time.